Hey everybody, and welcome back. I'm glad to see the crowd is filling in. How are you guys doing? Yeah? All right, well, you'll wake up soon. Don't worry about it. We were hoping to show you PartinG versus HasselOps, but PartinG is still playing against sLivko. So we're going to jump into that map right now. sLivko is up 1 game over PartinG. So you guys want to see how they're playing? All right, let's put it up on the screen.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're going into game number 2 here of sLivko versus PartinG, with sLivko, crucially, a game up in this best-of-3 series. So obviously we didn't get a chance so far to see what happened in game number 1, but sLivko proving that his style does actually give him the consistency that he needs to take games off people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he 6-pooled again.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a 6-pool. That just could all be a lie.
Actually, against PartinG might have been true, because PartinG goes blind Nexus first quite often.
Yeah.
Then a 10-pool or a 6-pool would actually just kill him.
It's a good point, actually. We should probably double-check that at some point. We're already into the lobby, though, so should be quite fun. What if the match history says that the game lasted about 45 seconds? We'll find out in just a bit.
Oh, error. Unable to load score screen.
How
so
unfortunate.
It's a mystery. It may never be solved.
Yeah.
We won't know. We're
so
just
many
gonna...
errors.
But I suppose we'll find out at some point, or if there are replays, we'll figure something out.
I don't think we will.
No, maybe not. So we'll see. We're waiting for everyone to join the lobby at the moment, guys. It's been a pretty fun morning so far. As you can see, it's 2 p.m. and we're already on the laughing gas here at the analysis desk. But very strong players here.
We're just waiting to start.
Just a little bit. QXC, quick, buy me some time. Do it.
I wonder if PartinG is going to play like we saw against Nerchio. Kind of like, it's like a relatively
reactive style.
Yeah, and like a pretty general style. Like he expands, he scouts, he does. I guess the DTs were a little weird, but
yeah, but he likes to open with Twilight.
Yeah.
In case of Mutas, you can go Blink. Against Hydras, it's actually decent to start with Blink, then go into Colossi. Against Swarmos, you can base trade pretty well with Blink, then get a War Prism. That's the option I've been.
And don't forget as well, of course, Harstam, you mentioned earlier, for those of you who don't know, here in Heart of the Swarm, the Dark Shrine is just so much cheaper, especially in terms of like how intensive it is on that gas, that just flinging in a couple of DTs here or there is no longer a massive commitment.
No, it's not as all-in as it used to be.
Yep.
And even getting DTs like Dark Shrine for Archons is not that uncommon, because you can, especially against Mutas, because you can do some DT pressure, you force them to get Spores and Overseers, and you need the Archons anyway. So yeah, it's a pretty decent choice to get Dark Templar.
Yeah, the Dark Shrine is 100 gas cheaper, so down from 250 to 150 gas.
And that's significant when you're just trying to crank it out to get it down as soon as possible, which is why we can see a lot more of these early DT builds.
Yeah, that Dark Shrine can come out faster. Not necessarily faster, but it can come out at the same timing with additional units behind it or additional tech. And sometimes with additional or reduced commitment, because you don't have to be mining as much gas, you can have more minerals, so you can see that reduced cost manifests itself in other ways.
Yes. So I'm pretty curious. The second map is going to be Metropolis. Normally a macro map in CVP, normally a bit of a turtle map. Brute Lord Infestor was pretty good. Yeah, was able to hold 5 bases pretty easily on that map with the help of 6 or 7 Spine Crawlers. But everything changed in Heart of the Swarm when the Tempest came out.
Yeah, the Tempest really drastically shifting that late game meta of PvZ.
Yeah, I think the Tempest alone changed the Brute Lord Infestor composition like no other unit did.
I mean, how about with the Void Ray change? Because they now have the activated ability that makes them do bonus damage against armored.
Oh, they kill stuff so fast.
Yeah,
now. We've
seen a lot of Void Ray use where they just kind of melt the Corruptors away.
Yeah, Corruptors doesn't die, man. What's up? What's up? You met? No. But yeah, Void Rays are really good now, and to have like 4 or 5 Void Rays in every composition is pretty strong, I would say.
What's that?
Protoss, or Harstam maybe with some pent-up Protoss rage.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. You're finally getting one back.
Yeah, showing dominance, man. That's what it's all about.
Oh, that was tremendous. But also, don't forget, guys, it's probably not something we're going to be talking about until later on in the tournament. But for those of you who remember seeing the hype videos on the way up to IEM, we've got the Sickest Nerd Baller, of course, award on the final day, voting is going to open about an hour before the finals, and we're going to have voting throughout the finals, and I think it closes afterwards. The winner wins a whole bunch of stuff. We have Patriot memory, Intel i7 processor, and we have the custom BenQ monitor as well that's been spray painted with the names of the previous Sick Nerd ballers on that as well. Absolutely amazing. And of course, here at the World Championship, prize for that, a little bit better than most, and that monitor's looking pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, that would be something nice to take home.
It would indeed.
Especially as a consolation. Like, it'd be cool if you won the tournament and also got the Sick Nerd baller, but usually it goes to somebody who's... They did something really exciting, really interesting, really awesome during the tournament, but not necessarily like a top 4 finish.
It's like it's what you're remembered for at the tournament. If you provide those epic moments that people really take away from it, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the final. You don't have to win the whole thing to create that kind of atmosphere, and that's what esports is all about.
Yeah.
So guys, we're going to be heading into game number 2 now for sLivko versus PartinG. It looks like the players are just about ready. We're handing you over to our excellent commentators. They are Kalaris and Todd.
Thanks very much, guys. Game number 2 on the way here between that man, PartinG, facing off against sLivko. How on earth did sLivko do it in game number 1? Nobody will ever know.
Actually, we can ask them after, but...
I guess we can.
For now, yeah,
No.
we won't, sadly.
Nobody will know. We'll just never ask them. It'll be a mystery forever. But I'm sure sLivko will want to share it with the world. I'm sure he's quite happy with it. So guys, Metropolis is our second map here, as we do get loaded up and good to go. Let's see who is going to be victorious here. The Intel Extreme Masters World Championship group stage between sLivko and PartinG. Let's jump on in.
And in the 3 o'clock position, we have our Russian player. It's also known as the Wild Beast, who fears no one. We have sLivko playing for Team Virtus.pro.
Yep.
Actually, he moved from Rockskiss.
Spawning down to our southern position here as our blue Protoss. Currently 1 game down in this best of 3. He goes by the name of SK-T1's PartinG.
And PartinG opening very similarly to what Yonghua did with a very quick pylon down his ramp. He's going to scout behind this. I don't think I've seen a gate expand a single game so far except Hazeops versus Nurture on Cloud Kingdom, and that did not really go his way. So the Koreans so far keeping it Wings of Liberty style with the Forge expansions. It's going to be a close air here. So we know that in Wings of Liberty, a lot of Protosses on these positions, they like to go for a Stargate play and maybe some Void Race, maybe some Phoenixes, and then try to drop some sentries on top of the ramp of their opponents, try to warp as many units as they can in their opponent's base to try to take out their main. Or a double Stargate is also possible. We saw Seed in one of the MLG Showdown matches that he played go for the double Stargates into a lot of oracles. I think it was against Sniper, and it was successful. So maybe PartinG going for something crazy like this in this game. He's going to leave his pro down the ramp here to try to block. But remember what I told you about when you don't go Forge.
Yeah, you sometimes incur a little bit of pylon blockage, craziness going on here. Or were you on about the little bit of defense going on at the back?
Yeah, if you don't make Forge first before Nexus, you usually don't throw down a pylon, because otherwise Lynx can get in. So now he's just going to go for the Nexus followed by Forge. He blocked the hatchery for as long as he could, and sLivko, he's just going to drone for now. I wouldn't be surprised to see a very quick third, just as Nurture did previously against Yonghua.
I like what you say about previously though about the potential for air positioning here from a Protoss, because the map is so ridiculously big. There's a lot of positions where air can really exploit your opponent's expansions, spread outness, if you're going on to 4-5 bases and stuff like that. So I would love to see some airplay once again. That's one of the factors in this tournament that I'm actually really looking out for. Big compositions of air toss, and I imagine it's something that you've had quite a lot of experience with, actually.
I don't very often play Sky Toss.
No? Okay.
And I feel on this map, if we see a 2-base aggression, it's either going to be the War Prism thing or a double Stargate all-in, or the famous 1-1-1 of PartinG, where he goes for the Immortal push. On these positions, it's very doable. If you can position yourself outside of the natural of your opponent, you can just force field all around the place, as DBC is showing us exactly the right position on the map. Thanks, man.
Yeah, this is you're right. This is one of those perfect maps for that kind of play. You can close off a lot of areas near your opponent's bases very, very quickly, and this map became famous for that kind of play in Wings of Liberty. Will PartinG exhibit that now here when he's down one game against sLivko? And I think we've already seen sLivko going up against Protoss, and his early to mid game was not where his strength lay. So if he's getting into the late games against PartinG might want to try and shut him down before anything like that occurs. With something in the mid-game.
And PartinG, he's already lost against Yonghua. If he loses this, he will be in a very bad shape in this group. So he has to take a win here. He's down one game. He has to play his best strategy. And I feel like we might see an Immortal push coming. But as I say, that he starts +1 very early on. He's going to chrono boost his first Stalker here. He's still making probes. He's going to go for a Mothership Core behind this. And we have no extractors made at his expansion so far.
Using that Mothership Core to the best of its ability in terms of putting on a little bit of pressure early on can work out very, very well here with just a handful of units from PartinG. Depends on how sLivko is going to prepare. He's just getting drones for now, a few queens, a little bit of a sprinkling of Zerglings into that mix. And with that, you just need more Zerglings than this, right? It's very, very important.
I'm surprised that PartinG does not chrono boost more his Nexuses here. You're supposed to be getting as many probes out as possible, and getting the Mothership Core out this early on, I think he wants to take a quick third. Yeah, I think I see a probe going toward his third here, because this is going to charge up on energy. And nice lane here. Should be able to spot it, but obviously not stop it, or maybe just for some time. And I mean, okay, I was talking about the Mothership Core. If it starts charging on energy early on, and you can have 100 energy as your Nexus finish, you're going to be able to defend against any type of early on attack, whether it's Zergling or Roaches with the Photon Overcharge. So I think that's why PartinG made his Mothership Core this early.
You're right. It's a very, very strong defensive position that the Protoss can create now with that Mothership Core capability. Zerglings are going to pull themselves back just to rally themselves a little bit here. But there's 3 Stalkers with that Mothership Core. This is quite a lot of damage that those Zerglings have to deal with. And, they're going to be forced back for now.
There is no speed on the way just yet, so no way to surround those Stalkers. Even if there was a way, I mean, he almost has a recall here. If he's made the Mothership Core and he has to recall, he's forced to speed early on. sLivko would have wasted a lot of time, which in this case is actually money. Money is time. He would have had to spend 100 minerals and gas very early on to be able to defend against this. He did not do that. So now sLivko is going to be very okay economy-wise. He's up to 55 drones to 46 probes. And he's just defending this well enough to be able not to take any damage. Interesting position to morph the lair, actually.
But it's great what he's doing. He's just keeping sLivko busy whilst grabbing his third behind. There's not really much he can put on in terms of pressure. Of course, he's well up in terms of supply, but just a small amount of units here for PartinG is holding him back. Actually, that's a lot of Lings in production here. He needs great SimCity at his bases to be able to hold off the potential aggression of sLivko.
Yeah, and I think this is going to head to the third, or maybe he's going to try to kill the Forge at the natural, but usually it's the third. And we should just see Photon Overcharge being used and repelled this very easily. But PartinG is only up to 16 army supply to 52, actually. This is looking pretty scary. I mean, Photon Overcharge is good, but when you have 40 supply behind your opponents, this might be really tough for PartinG to hold. He needs to get a couple Immortals and Sentries if he wants to be really comfortable holding this. The Roaches. One Force Field is missing.
Photon Overcharge going down here on the Nexus. He's trying to kill off as many of the Zerglings as he can do. Tries to micro-pack that Immortal. Does go down to the Roaches just at the very end. More floods of Zerglings flood on in. And with that, he can do some damage to the natural as well. And, well, he did a considerable... He didn't really kill off any workers during all of that. And the cannons are proving very useful.
And I like the run-by. I like the run-by that he did in the natural, because now more Zerglings are going to stream into the third. sLivko is just... I feel maybe if he had fought straight up, it might have been better, actually. But he's just trading his Roaches, 4 units right now. He's killed only 3 Walkers. That's a very low number for this attack.
And he lost 89 units during all of that. That's a lot of Lings dead. It's not the most amazing of trades there for sLivko. Somehow, some way, PartinG manages to retain so many of his workers during that. And he's up to 59 workers to 52. sLivko... He was up 40 supply in terms of his army, but it just didn't work. Cannons, useful, and Photon Overcharge.
Yes, great hold by PartinG. I mean, PartinG, he was a lot of supply behind, but keep in mind, he could warp a lot of units at once, say about 4 or 5, which means 10 supply. So he eventually caught up. He used some decent force fields. He had the cannons plus the Photon Overcharge in his third. He had 2 cannons as well in his natural. He was afraid of an attack at his wall, so he made an extra cannon, which really helped when those units tried to run by. They could not go into the main. So behind this, PartinG PartinG, he seems very worried about Mutas. He's going to throw down 2 Stargates, and I love this. Those are safety Stargates that you can get against Mutas, and if you want, you can get Void Race out of them.
But behind this, sLivko is going to evolve Enduring Locust, so we're going to see the first Swarm hosts on a stream here from sLivko if he's able to get those going. But +1 weapons has already begun here for PartinG, committing to these air units. If the Swarm hosts don't have anything to combat against any air units, then they're left very vulnerable to just, you know, Void Rays and Overlords coming along and just, Observers coming along and just picking them off.
Yeah, usually Zergs, they go for Hydralisk in support for their Swarm hosts, but I feel like right now, since sLivko is not getting Hydralisk, he wants to get defensive Swarm host. You can use them for both aggression or even semi-aggression. You can just try to make your opponent lose units, spend money in the defense, and not really be planning to attack with them. So sLivko right now, he's just made 5 Swarm hosts. He's going to add some Infestors behind this. He's going for Hive. I think if that's the sLivko that we know, he's just going to try to go for his Broodlords, maybe for some Infestors in support, and just try to overpower PartinG with his very good late game.
And meanwhile, PartinG is looking for that. He is looking with the fact that he has the benefit of hallucination for free here in Heart of the Swarm. Well, apart from a little bit of energy, of course, but not on Cybernetics Core, you get what I mean. Anyway, they're on the way to spot this Hive. They're on the way to make sure he knows exactly what sLivko is up to, and even spots the Spire behind all that.
And PartinG is going to have to make a choice here. I feel when you see that, when you see the Hive underway, when you see the Spire, you can either choose to go all in or all out. So all in will mean he gathers his forces and he attacks as the Broodlords are morphing, but it looks to me like he wants to go all out here, which means full defensive, as in he would just basically turtle, try to take a force, try to assemble his own Death Ball, and go for some War Prism drop, most likely with Zealots. We see his researching charge now, so I think, that's what we're going to see here.
Yeah, definitely. +3 weapons on those Zealots is going to make them hit like absolute trucks here once he tries to go for those like little multi-pronged attacks with that. And there are the Swarm hosts. One little Locust chilling out for us there. A few more on the way. Hiya, Locust. How are you doing?
They're not even rallied.
No. Just here. Why not? Whatever. But Lings are on the way to try and do a run by. That's a lot of cannons going down, and PartinG really understands the capabilities of that defensive position.
The Greater Spire is going to be morphed just now, and second Spire on the way here. sLivko, he really wants to upgrade his air units as much as possible, and he's basically just going to split the map as far as his side of the map goes, and we might see a fight for the middle. We might see a very late game PvZ here with some Tempest being used. I really want to see one of those, how it turns out.
I really do as well, actually. I mean, Metropolis is the map for that kind of play. People are always just going to 5 base versus 5 base, not really engaging into one another because the positions to engage are so difficult for either player to really make work unless the Zerg has got really far ahead with a ton of Broodlords for some reason. But now there's a lot of Void Rays on the map. 7 with 2 more on the way. This is a very strong army here for PartinG. Likewise, sLivko, too, has a very strong army.
And I feel like sLivko, he made a couple Swarm hosts too many here. I mean, I don't feel like he needs this many. He's gone up to 12. Since he didn't attack, those are going to become worse and worse. I mean, he can upgrade the missile attack upgrades as he's doing right now, but having tier 3 units would be a lot better.
Wow, 5 hallucinated Phoenix now, sharking on it. It's making it look like a really, a little bit of a stronger Phoenix play. But no, he's going to assume that those are indeed hallucinations as he gets the fleet beacon down behind this as well, and he's getting armor. I'm wondering if he's going for the second cybernetics core. So here we go. We're going to see PartinG going to full Stargate play very soon.
Carriers or Tempests?
I hope Tempests, because they're really fun to watch. I don't know about you, but they're really fun to watch.
I like the noise they make when they shoot.
Yeah, man, it's cool. It's cool.
And we have a lot of Void Rays here out of PartinG. One very good thing he could have done would be drop some Zealots in the main, warp extra Zealots, and attack the top left base with his Void Rays and his Mothership Core to recall on time.
That would be so good.
Yes, but in this game, it does not look like he wants to do that. He's just going to move out in the middle of the map. He has his Mothership Core with his army. If he gets caught out of position and he feels he cannot win the fight, he can just recall out of there before his Mothership Core dies. But sLivko, I mean, he's just turtling behind Spines and Spores. He does not have any wish to fight right now. I mean, he's still assembling the perfect ball. He wants to go for his look at how many upgrades he has in the production tab. He does not want to fight now.
Locust on their way here, but their defensive capabilities are not that amazing as the Void Rays all activate the charge here. Good fungal growth as well as time warp down on both sections of the army as well here. The fungals continue to land, but the Void Rays are tearing up everything. Are those infested tyrants going to really last for too long? The answer is no. The Colossus in turn melt them and shred them to pieces.
Yeah, an incredible amount of Void Rays here. sLivko tried to go for the fungal to counter those, but I mean, they were spread out so well, he wasn't able to get enough of them. And I mean, those units, this unit composition is basically perfect here by PartinG, except he's maybe missing Storm, but you can have everything at this point in the game, obviously. But nice timing. Before sLivko could complete his bulb, before all of his upgrades finished, he was able to kill a lot of very important units here, especially in some infestors. But all of the swarm hosts are still alive. And I mean, attacking into the swarm host when there is a spore is always difficult because an ops cannot fly in there. And I think he lost his observer.
Yes, he lost the only observer that he had there. I was going to say he had to be very careful because of the spores anyway, but he's lost it now thanks to those corruptors killing off with the vision. So he can no longer engage into that spot without these little nibblers killing off all of his army.
Look at them. They're like chasing the Colossi. Come here.
And bleh, dead. Bye-bye, guys. Okay, some more Void Rays on the way as well as Storm here for PartinG. Another Gateway on the way as well. So really just ramping up the production here across the 4 bases. But sLivko still has a very good income himself.
And PartinG going up to 4 targets. I'm surprised he's only been making Void Rays. I mean, they do well, but if you give them the support of a couple Tempest, they just do better, I feel. sLivko right now is trying to counter the mass Void Ray of his opponent, but PartinG is one step ahead. He's going for Storm. I mean, he knows that sLivko will go for a lot of Corruptors. For Infestors, if you have Templars with your Void Rays, how can you lose to that?
Yep, it's a very, very strong composition. And he's even getting shields for all of his units, as well as the eventual upgrades that he'll put onto the extra air units that he's going to have with so many Stargates. He's making 4 Void Rays at any given time right now. He's not even bothering for Tempest or Carriers. Screw it, just a lot of Void Rays because they really dish out the damage.
Yeah, with Storm, I mean, they're so strong. They basically, it's very hard for the Zerg to counter. He will need so many Infestors, so many Corruptors, but then how does he really deal with the Stalkers? There is still the ground army not to be forgot about. I mean, he has pew pew pew. He has the Locusts doing a good job so far, and actually sLivko is trying to pressure here.
Yeah, looks like he's going to try, and I mean, there's still only one observer out on the map here for PartinG, so he has to be very, very careful with all of this. If that one observer dies, then he can't continue to go for this at all. Nice fungals actually catch a lot of those Void Rays, but the Storms rip apart so many of those Corruptors, and even, they're so low, they're all just going to melt. And there's enough Void Rays here, I think, to be able to continue this.
Yeah, perfect Storms here by PartinG. He's going to be able to get rid of those Corruptors before the fight ends. And, I think sLivko is going to have to pull back, but I mean, with his burrowed units here, actually...
Well, he lost his observer again, so technically the Colossus, they could have stayed there, but not maybe the best decision.
So sLivko, I feel like he definitely lost more than PartinG here. But behind this, he has a lot of bases. He started to take one base in the middle, which I think PartinG is going to be able to spot immediately. He's just going to dispatch enough Zealots to get rid of it very safely. And in the meantime, he's going to keep the pressure on. He does not have detection here, I think. Oh, actually, he does.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to push him once again, killing off those the extra spines. I think it was just the splash damage that killed off them in the end.
That's very unfortunate for sLivko. And sLivko is just trying to scramble as many units out of his hatcheries as he can right now. He's down to 150 supply to the 191 of PartinG. PartinG's upgrades are too great for sLivko. I feel sLivko is losing everything right now. Those Void Rays dealing with those Corruptors very easily.
I get a feeling that Protoss versus Zerg is slowly turning into Protoss versus Corruptors. All I ever see is just a lot of Corruptors wave after wave trying to deal with Protoss, but it's not working out. There you go, GG. Game number 2 goes to PartinG. He ties up the series.
And he does not look impressed.
No. Well, I don't think he anticipated himself being down 1-0 in this series, to be honest with you, but there you go, he is. So, that's going to do it for game number 2. Do you have any last thoughts on that before we send it over to our fellows over there?
No, I just want to hear what they have to say, actually.
Awesome stuff. So let's go over to the analysis desk with QXE, Harstam, and Jorisar.
All right, guys. Well, PartinG leveling the series there, 1-1 in game number 2. Towards the end of the game there, we actually noticed that the Colossi, there wasn't really anything hitting them. Even the DPS from the army was just pretty big towards the end there. didn't seem there was anything Berserk could do to counter that.
It really felt like sLivko's army was just missing something.
Yeah. I'm not sure what I think. Like, I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure what beats Void Ray, 4 Colossi, 8 High Templar with Storm. It felt like sLivko didn't do any damage, even though with Swarm Host it feels like you have to do damage. His Swarm Hosts were really late in the first place as well, and that all was because of one moment in the game that we have lined up right now.
It was also worth mentioning that it was nice that the observers got picked off towards that final engagement. The problem is, even if the Swarm Hosts are undetected, the support units on the ground just weren't there, so the Locusts alone weren't going to cut it. But like you mentioned, we're going to be hopping into a very quick moment in the game, sort of round about the 9-10 minute mark here, where this is basically the point where Adebisi did show us the number of units killed. It ends up at 6 versus 89. This is a pretty incredible point.
First I want to show that sLivko only has 4 gases, or actually only 3, so this is pretty all in. His gas is really delayed. And this push isn't going to do as much damage as sLivko expected. I think he underestimated the planetary nexus quite a bit. There were 2 cannons as well, and just amazing force field from PartinG, preventing almost all probe losses. We see 2 almost perfect force fields denying the links. The planetary nexus going to work on basically everything. 1 immortal being microed away, and PartinG just having a really solid defense against this semi all-in. And because that sLivko had so little gas and took his 4th, 5th and 6th gas so late, everything that sLivko would have done, would it have been Mutas, would it have been Hydras, everything would have been delayed. And that was the case with Swarm Host. And as Todd mentioned, the only real use for the Swarm Host in this game was actually to defend. And Swarm Hosts to defend aren't as good as they are in an offensive way. So we're going to go into a game 3.
Yeah, no, that's actually a great point you mentioned there with the Swarm Hosts being defensive. I think it was mentioned in the cast as well. QXC, what are your thoughts on the Swarm Hosts being used as a defensive unit? Because it felt like there were a lot of Locusts there for sure, but without so much else defending, it kind of looked like they succumbed pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was a little strange to see them used like that because they're not really a unit that's particularly strong at pushing. You don't like... It's just hard. You burrow the Swarm Host, and then they only have a limited range, really, before they have to pick up and move. And if you're not already at a forward position, it becomes very difficult. It's a little like moving siege tanks across the map. You never want to be caught unburrowed with your Swarm Host, but at the same time, you have to keep a good eye on where their army is so that you can make sure that you get that burrow down and get the Locusts out, and you don't get caught unawares. And so that makes it much more difficult to actually use them.
Yeah, I think it's even more so for Swarm Host than for siege tank. Because if you get, it's a bit easier to move them across the map because you can do like the burrow, unburrowed, and Locust move with your Swarm Host. But if they're not in an offensive position, they're not going to be very useful.
Yep. At the end, I was really surprised that sLivko didn't make any Vipers at all. It felt like
that's a great point.
It felt like PartinG's unit composition really was relying very heavily on the Colossus to do the high damage output he needed to clear out the Locust so that the rest of his army could go in and help against the Corruptors and the air units. And if sLivko had been able to abduct a couple of those Colossus, reduce that damage output so that all of a sudden the Swarm Hosts are actually creating an overwhelming advantage, would have been really good. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it would have been good, but...
Yeah, he might switch his unit composition up here in game number 3. Of course, it sets us up for a deciding game here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. We're going to be throwing it over to our commentators for the next match, who, once again, are Kalaris and Todd.
Thanks very much, guys. Game number 3 on the way here, Todd. How is sLivko going to compete with that? Like, we're going on to Newkirk City.
Yeah.
Do you think that the game is going to go in a very, very similar way to game number 2, or do you think that there's going to be slight deviations here?
I feel like sLivko has his own style, even though he tried something in the previous game, which was a semi-all-in, as Harston pointed out. It did so little damage that it basically became an all-in, but on Newkirk City, I feel like it's really up to PartinG. If PartinG chooses to be aggressive, we might see a very different game, but if he chooses again to split the map and try to go for the macro game, which I wouldn't blame him for considering the way the last game went, we might see a very passive game and just a game where they try to outsmart each other with very small moves until finally we have this big battle happening where everything is decided.
Oh. I'm quite surprised that, considering the amount of Protoss games we've had, we haven't actually seen any Oracles just yet. Is there a particular reason for this?
I've seen Oracles.
You have?
In the PvPs.
Okay. Well, I have not yet, so I'm looking forward to that as well. As for now, we jump in to game number 3 between these two players. Out on screen, PartinG looking to take the series, but sLivko needs to win as well, as we do have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner here as our blue Protoss. He goes by blue Zerg. He goes by the name of VP BenQ sLivko.
His opponent playing for SK1, a famous Korean team led by Boxer, is PartinG.
PartinG looking for the win once again. sLivko here. Well, I mean, it's going to be tough. PartinG has always proved time and time again that he is a fighter. But sLivko at the same time, if we see PartinG allow sLivko to get into the later stages of the game with, Infestor Broodlord composition or something to that degree, he's going to be okay as well.
I like how you call PartinG a fighter. Have you seen sLivko's upper body mass?
Maybe you'll avoid him in a dark alley or something like that. Dude, I'm scared of sLivko. He's gonna monster it. But anyway,
we have PartinG actually going for a pylon in his main here. Maybe a gate. Oh yeah, gate opener. As I said earlier, it really depends of the overlay at the expansion.
Yeah.
We see there is a huge space. I mean, a huge ramp at the expansion of the Protoss here. So to wall this, you will need a lot of buildings, more than usual. So because of that, that makes the Forge expand weaker than it will be on other maps. So that explains the gate expand. You're just going to be so safe if you go for a one gate expand. You can just get one Zealot, one Stalker, and then couple sentries. Your Mothership Core out early on, and you can take faster.
Yeah, you can, and from that point on, giving Zerg a little bit of a harder time here. sLivko is one of those players that is just happy to defend constantly. If you have a little bit of extra tech early on, then you can pose a little bit of a threat that he wasn't necessarily expecting at a particular time. So we'll see how he's going to go. He's already going for a gas, though, so maybe that speed just to deter any little pokes with a few gateway units and Mothership Core as well.
It kind of feels like he's anticipating a gate opener by PartinG here, since, I mean, this is the direct counter. You need to get that speed out early on, not to get four-gated or not to take damage or die to any kind of aggression. And that's very smart here by sLivko. He's going to... I feel like build order-wise, he's done what he has to do in this game to be in a good position. But then it comes down to what does PartinG choose to do. From there, I don't think... Yeah, the third pylon has not been made. The position it's made in is going to tell us a lot about what PartinG is going to do here.
Yeah. As you can see here, the Overlord for sLivko spotting exactly what's going on in his opponent's base. Mothership Core is going to be on the way out as well, rallied on out straight away to the front of his opponent's natural so that he can put on some pressure himself. But he's going to expand behind this as well, so not going for anything too crazy at this point in time.
And since he has got the Mothership Core early on, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to attack maybe the expansion. Well, he saw the extractor, right? So actually he might just go out for a little bit. Yeah, he saw it. Thanks. He knows that speed will be on the way, so I wouldn't be surprised if he moves out and he times the speed really well, which would be around 6 minutes, I guess. He would just go back home with his Stalker before that, not to be caught out in the middle of the map. He knows his forced speed already, or well, I guess sLivko had already decided on that, but PartinG, he should be careful not to lose his Stalker outside of his base. And yeah, what I was going to say originally is, if you attack the Queen at the expansion with your Stalker and the Mothership Core, there is a very good chance you're going to kill it. And then if there is no Queen here defending for even 20 seconds, you can harass those drones a lot. You can put down a time warp, you can attack and kill 2 or 3 of them, and that's always a good trade.
And it's a good point that you actually bring up there. Time warp can be extremely useful in these very small micro situations here. If you're slowing down a Queen, it's very annoying, as well as even the drones. But 20 Lings are now on the way to deal with this poke. But PartinG, he's not committing crazy amounts to this, so forcing that many Lings this early on is really useful.
Yeah, he overreacted very heavily here, and I think we might just see a recall out of PartinG. Speed just finished. He's going to engage into the Stalkers. 111 energy on this mothership core. He recalls too late. He's going to lose boost. Oh, he loses one.
Oh.
I did this recently and I lost both, so I thought the same had happened to me. But he's PartinG. 4
4
man.
health left on that, and he had 4 seconds of worth of extra damage that he was taking during all of that. Well, 4 seconds in game, or maybe 2. But anyway, the point is that he does take extra damage whilst he's actually warping away. The Zergling's now putting on the counterattack, but it's already been walled in. Should be able to be shut down by this mothership core and the sentry. But the Zergling's going to try anyway.
Yeah, there's just so many links here, but I mean, he realized he could not do any real damage, so he's going to pull back for now. Oh my god, look at this amount of drones, man.
Kind of scary. 34 to 30 probes, but still, I mean, well, imagine if PartinG, for example, hadn't poked out there and hadn't forced 20 Zerglings, it would have been extra 10 drones.
Yeah.
Nice.
That would have been huge. And PartinG, I like his decision of walling off completely at his ramp here against those links. He was able to not take any damage during the counterattack. And yeah, he's actually going for a Robo and a Forge, which is very standard if you don't go for Stargates. And I feel like if Zerg opens with 2 bases and gets a quick gas and gets speed, I feel like it's almost always bad to go for Stargates. Because if he's on 2 bases, you won't have much room to really harass. He's going to be able to take fast enough to defend very easily against those Stargate units. If he goes for Hydralisk, you might have a tough time as well. So sLivko, in the previous game, he was missing something. I mean, he made Swarm Host that did not really help him. In this game, he needs that extra something to help him. It might be Hydralisks. He actually had the Hydra then. You remember? You saw that?
Yeah, he did.
During the analysis, and he did not use it, so maybe this time he might use it.
Maybe. He's getting a lot of drones once again here, and sLivko has spotted his opponent's Robo, whilst we've seen PartinG spot his opponent's third. So during all of this, they all know what's going on, and it's an interesting dynamic that the mothership core actually presents, the map presence that doesn't pose a massive amount of threat, but you can just still move around. It's very hard to actually deal with denying that scouting information as a Zerg.
Yeah, but you can't fly too far inside of the base of your opponent because planes do a lot of damage to this mothership core. But yeah, if you can just lose the shield and get some info sometimes, it's always useful. But at this point in the game, PartinG knows that sLivko might have enough unit to really hurt him, so he's going to have to keep his mothership core very close to his base in case he needs to use Photon Overcharge. And it looks like PartinG wants to take a third here, and I'm not surprised. I mean, the map really favors that. He's going to have to look out for Mutas, even though sLivko is not a Muta player. If you get surprised by Mutas, I feel like you will almost always lose. Yeah, but sLivko is going for the Infestation Pit actually in this game, and a couple Roaches, keeping it old school. Double Evolution Chamber going down now.
Very old school indeed. We might even see him just going to range weapons and Carapace and then go for Swarm Host once again, maybe in a more aggressive posture. I mean, of course, there's, you know, obvious, well, he's going for Pathogen Glands, so there you go, he is indeed going for those Infestors. So, as you said, keeping it old school, but range weapons benefiting the Roaches, they also benefit the Locusts. There is an argument for it.
And I like those spotting force fields, man. Dropping a couple Zerglings for free. He does not really need energy right now. He's been scouting very actively with hallucinated phoenixes. We see another unit in the middle of the map. Actually, no. Is it a hallucinated phoenix headed for sLivko? Yeah. So he's doing a very good job with those. I mean, you have to time them. You can just do like 1 per minute or 1 every 30 seconds. He has even observers being able to spot exactly everything of what sLivko is doing. I actually just barely missed the hive tech here, which started at 11 minutes. That's a very early hive tech.
Yeah, and I mean, the interesting thing behind this is that he's actually up to 82 drones as opposed to the 61 workers of his opponent right now. So, you know, sLivko's going to have a phenomenal income very, very quickly whilst getting that hive, getting that spire up and running with the melee and the carapace grades going down. And PartinG, he's only at 100 supply at this point. He's grabbing himself that Stargate, and I assume just looking to go onto the big Void Ray production once again.
You don't change a winning strategy, and that's exactly what PartinG thinks right now. He's going for the exact same mix as in the previous game. He's getting blinked pretty early, though, which is a bit weird. As I said before, nice force field, trapping a whole couple of Zerglings in the middle of the map. He's going to be able to get rid of all of those for free again. And sLivko, he has to be careful. When you play against PartinG, you cannot sleep like this.
Roasty toasty Zergling barbecue goes down there. The Colossi having an absolute meal of a time, as we do now have +1 weapons starting for the Void Rays once again. Plenty of air presence coming out here from PartinG. While sLivko, well, to be honest, I mean, he has such a great income. He can produce a massive amount of corruptors very, very quickly, and he's already got those infestors for the lockdown.
And yeah, PartinG finally sees the hive. He's going to be able to spot the Greater Spire. Oh, actually, never mind. It's not. Okay, never mind again. He starts it as I say that. So PartinG knows about when the Broodlords could hit him now, and that's what he's going to be preparing for now. And I mean, we might see a very similar play as with Yonghua go for, in which he adds a couple Tempest. That would be the right move, but he might also go for just full Void Rays from there. We see he's getting one more Colossi. He hasn't thrown down the Fleet Beacon, so he hasn't hinted that he might go for Tempest just yet. He's adding gates, so maybe switch into a lot of Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out in the previous games that we saw against Nurture. There's the Fleet Beacon, so good stuff. I guess it might just be, you know, for +2 weapons and things like that as well, which will be very, very useful for those Void Rays going up against this army.
Well, he's getting +3 attack upgrade for his Stalkers and ground units as well. PartinG just trying to do everything at once right now. He's taking a force base, and I think he could have taken it a lot earlier. Considering the situation, he wasn't really in any situation where he could be attacked, and you see this area near the third of PartinG is really hard to go through and then enter the third. You can even damage those rocks, and if the opponent tries to attack, you kill them at the last moment, and then you just cause an avalanche on his head.
And it takes a little bit of a while for him to break on through, and it does actually damage units. So second spy is now on the way for sLivko. sLivko always gearing up for double air upgrades, meaning he's really committing to the late game. If he was only having one Greater Spire, he's only committing a little bit of his gas to upgrades, or just a lot of Broodlords, but...
What's this? Why does he send 5 Phoenixes? You know what he should do? He should get 2 Phoenixes, send all the Phoenix like this, and then lift a couple of drones. And then the opponent will be so scared of Phoenixes that this will achieve actually nothing. Never mind.
Yeah, it's true. But meanwhile, during all of that, bye-bye sentries, bye-bye. It was nice to know you. sLivko gets a few free units, and the hallucinated battalion of Phoenix dissipate.
And you know, this is such a weird thing that just happened. I feel like you're supposed to suicide sentries before you complete your death ball, but this just seems so early. PartinG is only on 143 supply, and he's already suicided all of his sentries. So I think maybe he feels safe enough already to be able to pull such a move without dying behind it. He's not, obviously those sentries are not going to do great now that there's Broodlords and everything, and that's what he might have realized. Oh, and we see Vipers being made here by sLivko.
We do indeed. That Abduct can be absolutely devastating, as well as even Blinding Cloud. But Tempests are now in production, 3 at a time. They are going to rip apart Broodlords. 3 is the magic number to kill off a Broodlord in one volley. And, well, I mean, PartinG's constantly been scouting out his opponent and really seeing a very, very small amount of Corruptors. Really not too much. So maybe that's one of the reasons why he felt safe enough to actually sacrifice it, because you can't really compete against that many Void Rays without a ton of Corruptors.
Yes, totally agree. And PartinG, I mean, he's still on 150 supply. He's very short on gas. He needs to go up to 10 or 12 gases. He's trying to take a 5th, but sLivko denied this once. Oh, okay, nah, he's not going to deny it twice, I can tell you that. If those pylons do go down, and yeah, if he can just go up to 10 gases, he's going to have enough gas to really complete his ball exactly how he wants it to. And sLivko is not going to be able to do any more run by with all of the Zerglings. sLivko is adding a lot of spores right now. I see 8 spores in the production tab, and he's afraid for his... Oh, I think he's afraid of what I talked about earlier with the Void Race and the Mothership Core to try to snipe buildings. And I'm actually surprised that PartinG hasn't tried that yet. A couple of roaches here are going to try to go for a run by, but I mean, Void Race are going to have to say something about that. Getting rid of this attack very easily here.
Oh, a conveyor belt of death, but meanwhile in the third base of PartinG, it looks like the Zerglings, well, they're a bit indecisive, will go up to the 4th eventually. There's not that many cannons to really deal with that. He's actually just going to focus down the Nexus. That would be a very, very nice pickup for him if he gets it. But for just a few Zerglings, Tempest now moving into the fray, he will end up getting it. Nice move by sLivko.
And PartinG is actually refusing to warp in gate units here. I mean, warping Zealots is the standard reflex to be able to defend against that, but he did not even do that. He had a couple of gates early on. How many gates is he on exactly? I'm really surprised. He's on 10 gates.
Yeah.
So okay, I think he could have saved that Nexus, but he did not seem to really mind. His death ball is nearly assembled anyway. He's about to get 2 1-1 upgrades for his air units, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for Templars behind this, just like in the previous game.
I'm curious as to what these Vipers are going to do. Sure, they're going to abduct, and that's going to occur, but there's not enough Corruptors to actually deal with all of that airborne army that is coming out here. And he's even going to morph in the Mothership core. It's something that, the Mothership, it's something that a lot of people don't do. They stick with the Mothership core because the Mothership's not amazingly useful as it was before, with the Vortex now being gone. But still, it can provide pretty good utility.
Yeah, the recall is very different than Wings of Liberty. You can recall all the army around your Mothership even after it's morphed. You can recall to one of your Nexuses. So if you move too far out on the map and you get caught out of position, it's going to be the exact same as the Mothership core before it's changed into the main Mothership. But he's gonna have a lot more HP basically.
Yeah, now all these Vipers do accrue all the energy they need to make sure this assault continues. And again, like, I think if he'd have had something else to make this, I don't know what he's actually going to do with these Vipers. How many Corruptors does he have out right now? He has 14, but there's 19 Void Rays out here.
He's gonna try to abduct from afar, I think, and bring a couple units into his infested swarm eggs, spores, or anything else he has to be able to get rid. Actually, getting Mothership at this point in the game, I don't really agree with, because the main reason you will get it for is the cloaking, but it's not that important at this point in the game. But maybe PartinG has a trick up his sleeve here.
Maybe sLivko does as well with that many abducts at his disposal. Cloak goes down on all of these units, but realistically, that's a very, very scary army that sLivko now possesses. The Vipers are actually going to move into the fray. No, they're going to pull back for now. The Tempest still causing a little bit. Oh, where's he going? Cheeky Viper will grab the Mothership and die.
That didn't sound very legal, the way he did that. Just abducting the Mothership core.
No.
Not without permission, not even doing anything to it. It did not feel like he had any kind of a plan. Oh, he's trying to abduct
and
one of those Tempests. Oh, actually, the Mothership. Oh, he has Neuroparasite. I think he's going to try to roll it, maybe. No, he tries to target fire after a nice fungal here, but not going to be able to get it. Remember, PartinG has Storm here. He's going to start using some Storm on all of those units, but huge clump of Void Rays. He's going to take a lot of damage from those Infestors.
Oh,
can he keep on fungaling?
He does have a lot of fungals there, but I think all of the Infestors have completely died. Well, a lot of them all dancing around at the back as well. They're trying to keep away from this army that is absolutely massive. Those fungals are really, really difficult for PartinG to actually deal with, but he will get away with all of his Void Rays.
And those Brood Lords trying to pull back now. One of those is going to die. And, I mean, sLivko, he had a great engagement. There was too many units clumped for PartinG, but he could not keep on fungaling, and they only lost their shields and a little bit of HP. PartinG right now, he only has to camp, wait until those shields regenerate, attack again, and I feel like sLivko is going to have such a hard time, but 28 Corruptors on the way as well as 2 Vipers. He's going to have 2 air upgrades, and it's just going to be so tough because there is the Archons as well, and sLivko has no ground to deal with this. He needs to throw down a lot of spines, but you see he's short on cash. He actually has a lot of gas, which is usually what you want as a Zerg, but he does not seem to be able to find any answer to this army that PartinG keeps on making.
The 3 Tempest is like a really slow push across this map, making it really annoying. It puts a timer on sLivko, who is now playing once again Protoss versus Corruptors, and will they be able to do what they need to? They need to spread so much to deal with all of this, but PartinG just keeps powering on forwards.
And those Tempests, I feel like they are really good as support units, just like Colossi. Like you say, 3 is the magic number, and if huge engagement here actually.
Well, all the Corruptors coming in from either side here. He's going to slow down a lot of that ground army, and the Fungals land on all of the Void Rays. Will he be able to kill them off? Corruptors are from every single angle, but I don't know whether or not it's going to be enough. They've all gone, they've evaporated, and the Void Rays are holding strong still.
And it actually looked like sLivko was going to be able to do it here up until he lost everything. And nice abduct on the Mothership here, going to be able to kill it. But I mean, PartinG behind this is up to 123 supply to the 80 of sLivko. sLivko, he has no money. He's broke. He has as much gas as he wants, but it's Obviously, he can't make Archons, so that's not going to help him much.
And 19 Corruptors going to pop in just a little bit here once again, but the Void Rays are just too numerous to be dealt with. They're getting +3 armor as well. The Tempest, they've not stopped firing for the past 10 minutes. And with the Zealots now going and putting on a little bit of harassment at the mining bases, how can sLivko stop this push that is constantly relentless? The Corruptors coming from every angle. There's a lot of Corruptors now barreling down on this, but the Void Rays disintegrate the Corruptors so fast with their charge. And with that, I think all the Corruptors are going to die off.
And I like this word, disintegrate. That's exactly what happens.
Oh.
sLivko going to make a reference to imbalance, but I mean,
GG.
this mix by PartinG was so beautiful. He had everything he needed. He got a lot of air units. He got Storm as support. And sLivko, he felt a little bit indecisive, like he didn't know what exactly he can do to be able to take the win against PartinG.
It's hard against that many Void Rays. I mean, as a Zerg, what is there at your disposal? There was Fungal, we landed those. There was wave after wave of Corruptors, they melted. A lot of hard decisions need to be made there. I think,
I think you need more infestors. If you can get like 30 out of 40, and imagine the first big fight where everything was clumped.
Just so many Fungals after Fungals. Yeah. But guys, anyway, that's enough from us here. We're going to send it over to the analysis desk with Jorasar, Harstem, and QXE.
Thank you very much, guys. That was an incredible game number 3 there, and we saw quite a lot of what we were talking about at the end of game 2. PartinG going straight for the Void Ray Colossi composition that served him so well, but after that we saw sLivko mix up his composition a little bit. Why don't we talk just a bit about what his composition was and what he did to try and alter his play?
Okay, so it seemed like a pretty standard game. Both were really, really passive. sLivko attempted a few run-bys with roaches. He actually killed the 4th base of PartinG once with 25 to 30 links.
Yeah.
It got pretty passive after that, I feel like. He went Corruptor, Infestor, Broodlord, and then slowly switched into Viper. And after a while, I think he had 10 or 12 Vipers actually. Quite a lot. And it started to look like a pretty decent composition actually.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly sure what other composition you could use against the Void Ray Storm Colossi, the one that PartinG has been using in this game and last game, but it seemed like a really potent composition in general, throwing down lots of infested Terrans. He had decent upgrades, I think, when the big battle occurred, the battle which we are going to go to. He was behind in upgrades, I think.
It was probably 3-2 against 2-2 or something, something along those lines.
So he was a little bit behind in upgrades, but the main mistake that sLivko made in this fight, that's what we are going to show.
What about you, QXE? What do you think about the composition that sLivko went to, like pre-fight, just specifically the composition?
It felt like a pretty reasonable composition and a pretty reasonable response of what we saw.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like sLivko knew strategically how to use that army to the greatest effect.
Sure, yeah.
He sacrificed a couple of Vipers trying to pull the Mothership out of position. Without Vortex, Mothership no longer has Vortex. The Mothership has Time Warp and it has Mass Recall, and it just doesn't feel like it's that big of a threat in these battles. Time Warp is not, it only affects ground units. You're like, he Time Warps your Infestors, big deal, it doesn't matter. And he maneuvered a little bit, he tried to do stuff with his army, and then didn't really get the preparation he needed to win this big battle, but we're going to show that battle and talk a little bit more about it.
Exactly. So let's hop into the replay here. We have a pretty nice pause screen, actually. A lot is going on. So we're going to unpause and check this game out from about just before the 23-minute mark. And this is an engagement where sLivko had so many infestors. Look at the ones in the back. They have so much energy. Guys, talk us through what's happening here.
Yeah, so we do see a few infested Terrans being thrown down. I don't think infested Terrans was the correct thing to do. And then PartinG moved back initially and then just came back in the fight. Yeah. And this is the moment where sLivko should have responded and stayed over here with his infestors. Yeah. There were so many low health Void Rays. 2 more Fungals would have killed those.
No shields.
No shields?
Yeah, 2 Fungals is all it would have taken.
He had definitely more than enough Fungals there to finish that job. And if you kill 17 Void Rays, the game is over.
Look at the gas bank. No gas. He would have been able to warp in like 2 Archons or like 3 Void Rays.
It would have been absolutely impossible for PartinG to remax on anything that resembled that composition. sLivko would have been able to take the map, put PartinG at the very least back down to 4 bases, and I think the game would have been over from that point. It was just kind of, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I guess he felt really threatened by the Tempest.
Yeah, but I think there was maybe one Templar underneath it as well, and the mothership always has a bit of a. It's a bit scary, I guess, but
Yeah.
he should have stayed there. There were so many free Void Rays. Everything was clumped up. I think that was a bit of a mistake by PartinG as well, but.
Yeah, the issue, of course, was that once he missed that opportunity to fungal off all of the Void Rays, by the time PartinG had pushed in, the Infestors were kind of a little bit all over the place. PartinG's unit were just a little bit better spread out. We saw in that end fight, actually, there was one more instance where another 2 fungals maybe would have destroyed everything that PartinG had to offer. But unfortunately, there was no energy left that time on the Infestors.
Yeah, and it was really strange.
Todd, get out of my shot. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Todd, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Get out of my desk. Where are you going?
I thought it was really interesting. sLivko, I didn't feel like he was utilizing his resources as well as he could have towards the end game. We saw him banking a huge amount of gas, and it felt like the Infestors were the unit he needed, and he was using them pretty effectively. He was putting down the infested Terrans here or there to draw the Colossus Fire and the Void Ray Fire so his Infestors weren't dying as much, but he just ran out of energy.
Yeah, the thing I didn't like as well, that he kept on rebuilding like 28 Corruptors.
Yeah.
And Corruptors, like I mentioned before, it's like, what's up? Like, they're not very good against Storm and Void Rays, so I think a few more Infestors actually would have been good here. He had 12 or 14, and he had 25 Corruptors, which are almost useless against 20 Void Rays.
It definitely feels like in the head-on, if you're talking max battles, Void Rays are going to beat Corruptors all day long.
All day, every day.
But if you can supply the Void Rays or the Corruptors with the proper support, then they become so much more effective. I didn't really see sLivko actually micro against the plus damage ability of the Void Rays either.
He never pulled back, and I don't think he actually used Corruption either.
I'm not sure about that, but I definitely feel like he never pulled back. So the Void Ray now in Heart of the Swarm has an ability that gives it plus damage, plus bonus to armored units. And so when that ability is activated, it has higher damage output than it did in Wings of Liberty, and it doesn't charge anymore. And so the Void Ray now, if you fight when it's charged, it's stronger than ever. But if you fight when the charge ability is on cooldown, it's weaker than it was before. And it just felt weird. Like, Corruptors do okay against Void Rays and Wings of Liberty, and if the Void Rays from Wings of Liberty are a little bit weaker, then it feels like the Corruptors should be an okay response. Like, if sLivko had seen the ability used, throw down a couple of fungals, and then just run away, and watch for the timer, and the moment the timer runs out, you engage, you try and force a battle, and maybe that would have been a little bit better.
Forcing battles with fungals isn't that hard, to be honest. Like, you throw down a fungal and hey, we have a battle.
Hey, let's
fight.
come here.
You, me, no.
No problem. All right, guys. So very well done by PartinG there. Commiserations to sLivko. Of course, we're going to continue with more epic StarCraft action here at CeBIT at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. We're going to first go to a commercial and then a presentation by one of our amazing sponsors here, Raid Call. Don't go anywhere, guys. You're watching Intel Extreme Masters.